Welcome to the SoberQ podcast.
Hello, my name is Blake and I'm an alcoholic, and I've been asked to talk on step 9. How do we become willing to make amends? I've always thought actually that step 8 is a bit of an insertion. Step 7 says we list the people we've done wrong to, and then step 8 says we become willing to make amends, and then step 9 says we do make amends. I sometimes wonder if they put in step 8 simply because they wanted 12 steps. However, step 8, we became willing to make amends. Now, in my case, a bit of background here. I started drinking about 16 and drank fairly safely for the first 20 years. In my late 30s, owing to business failure, I found myself in a very difficult position in Sydney, and I started drinking heavily, carrying out the cliche about drinking doesn't solve your problems, but it helps you forget that you're not solving them. I think I proved then that I am and always have been an alcoholic, because after a couple of years I had solved the problems, moved to Melbourne, got a job and so on, and I was still drinking heavily, and over the next 10 years or so got worse and worse. I finished up a daily drinker, a binge drinker, a top-up drinker, a morning drinker, a drink. During that time I behaved as a husband and father as a complete failure and waste of space. I thought that if I put food on the table and a roof over the heads and money up for school fees and holidays, that was all I had to do towards the family. And I let my wife bring up our children, whom I for the most part ignored or let down when I'd promised to do things for them. After 10 years of this, my wife and kids threw me out of the house, and I experienced what we later learned to call a rock bottom. Now, as a result of this experience, I joined Alcoholics Anonymous, and with a lot of help from the Sunrise Group, I sobered up and have stayed largely sober ever since. That's another story. So, when I'd finally sobered up enough to sit down and start looking at the steps and thinking about how I'd behaved in the past, I had no difficulty in concluding that I needed to make amends to my wife and children. The question then arises, though, how on earth do you make amendments for behaving like a monster for 10 years? There are 2 or 3 things there. The first thing I'd decided was that I had to start behaving like a decent husband and father. I should be supportive and loving and, where possible, generous towards everybody, and I've done that. Secondly, I had to tell them that I knew I'd behaved badly and that I was sorry for it, and that's also the case. I've done that. And thirdly, the main thing one can say about being a recovering alcoholic trying to make amends is I don't do it anymore. I've given up that sort of bad behaviour. Given this, I'm able to achieve peace of mind. I'm not saying for a minute that I can forget how I behaved or what I did, but I have peace of mind. There's a sense of closure there in making amends, and I've been able to live with my family happily ever after, ever since, for nearly 30 years. Thank you for letting me share.
If you would like to share your experience on a recovery question, visit the SoberQ podcast website at soberq.com. Thanks for listening.